Hey folks, it's Sean here from the Calling Out community and CallOut Films. And today I'm continuing my video series, Last Days Dawning. With a Bible in one hand and a newspaper in the other, I will show how the biblical signs of the times, which warn of a worldwide time of chaos and suffering to come called the Tribulation, are being fulfilled right now, today. In our last video, we looked at one of the Bible's shortest prophecies in Daniel 12:4, where God told Daniel that those living at the time of the end, or the last days or tribulation, would be easily recognized by two aspects of human achievement. First, in our previous video called Rushing Round, Daniel prophesied of a future generation that would be able to travel faster, farther, and in greater numbers than ever before. When Jules Verne wrote Around the World in 80 Days in 1873, he couldn't have imagined that in 2005, a man named Steve Fawcett would fly non-stop without refueling around the entire world in just 67 hours. Today, we return to Daniel 12:4, where God told Daniel that knowledge shall be increased at the end of time. The knowledge gained by this end times generation, along with their achievements in transportation mentioned before, would have no equal in history. Daniel must have been reading our mail. We are that generation. And Daniel was uniquely qualified to speak on knowledge. He was one of Israel's brightest. King Nebuchadnezzar of the Babylonian Empire conquered Israel in 605 BC, and in Daniel 1 verse 4, the brightest young Israelites were brought to live in his palace, in whom was no blemish, who were all well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, so they could learn the Babylonian ways and the Chaldean language. Daniel and three of his friends were among those students, and eventually they stood before the king himself. Daniel 1:20 said that in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm. And Daniel would have had access to the greatest library of the ancient world, just an 8-hour chariot ride from Babylon, in the city of Nineveh, which Babylon conquered just 7 years before Israel. The library of Ashurbanipal held thousands of clay tablets dating back to 2100 BC, including the oldest surviving original copy of a great work of literature in human history, called the Epic of Gilgamesh, who was a king of the ancient Assyrian Empire. Modern historians have since found many of the scrolls around modern-day Mosul in northern Iraq. Ancient Babylon itself, which is near modern Baghdad, was a city so incredible, its hanging gardens are considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still today. It was a city so enormous in population compared to the rest of the world that today it would be equivalent to a city of 77 million people. It was an empire so powerful and influential, the whole civilized world of the day did business with it. But the great libraries of Daniel's day could not be compared to the largest library in world history, which is still open today. The Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. houses over 164 million items in its collections, including 38 million books, millions of photographs, recordings, and films, as well as more maps, comics, newspapers, and even phone books than any other place on Earth. And since January 2010, Twitter has donated several hundred million public tweets every day, and all of it is stored on about 838 miles of bookshelves. Today, like never before, we are seeing the greatest exponential increase of information in human history, which Daniel prophesied about, with no better example than in the pages of the Encyclopedia Britannica. First published in 3 volumes in 1768, it grew to 20 volumes by 1810. But now fast forward to 2010, and the 15th edition spanned 32 volumes, 32,600 pages, 500,000 topics, and 40 million words. They recently abandoned print for an online-only version, for though they have 100 full-time editors and 4,000 writers, including 110 Nobel Prize winners and 5 American presidents, they still can't keep up with the information coming at them. Daniel 12:4 is being fulfilled before our very eyes. Tim Berners-Lee developed the new World Wide Web in 1989 to share information between scientists in universities and institutes around the world. The first website was actually hosted on his own computer. Jump ahead to March 2012, when Netcraft's website survey stated that there were about 644 million active websites. But just 3 years later, in 2015, that number had jumped to over 1.2 billion websites. By October 2018, it had grown again to 1.9 billion websites and nearly 500 billion web pages. And Google can't keep up with them all. They've indexed only 23 billion web pages, less than 2% of the total online today. Buckminster Fuller, who was an American architect, developer, and a futurist, created the knowledge doubling curve, noticing that until 1900, human knowledge doubled approximately every 100 years. By the end of World War II, knowledge was doubling every 25 years. Today, different types of knowledge have different rates of growth. For example, nanotechnology knowledge is doubling every 2 years, and clinical knowledge in medicine doubles every 18 months. But on average, human knowledge doubles every 13 months. That's incredible enough, yet IBM predicts that the development of the so-called Internet of Things will lead to the doubling of knowledge every 12 hours. In early June 2018, the US Department of Energy and IBM unveiled Summit, now the world's most powerful computer. With a peak performance of 200 petaflops, that's 200,000 trillion calculations per second, the $200 million IBM supercomputer is made up of 4,600 separate servers, and it runs on 13 megawatts of power. Friend, that's enough to power 11,000 homes. Housed at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, where the first U.S. atomic bomb was developed, Summit takes up 5,600 square feet of floor space, and it weighs over 340 tons. That's the same as a 747. The system is connected by 185 miles of fiber optic cables, and it can store 250 petabytes of data. That's equal to about 648,000 hours of HD video on Netflix. To keep Summit from overheating, more than 4,000 gallons of water are pumped through the system every minute, carrying away nearly 13 megawatts of heat from the system. Summit's going to allow researchers to apply machine learning to areas like human health, which will give them the ability to analyze millions of people's data at once. In March 2018, the Financial Times reported that new livers, hearts, and kidneys will soon be printed on 3D printers, thanks to the work of scientists in the field of regenerative medicine. While the ability to print a whole organ is still a distant reality, multiple labs are working to print liver tissues now, the most regenerative organ in the body. Organovo, a company based in San Diego, has already developed a bioprinting process that takes cells from donor organs and turns them into ink. Layers of cells are then laid down in carefully calculated designs to build up small sections of liver tissue. The Guardian reported in July 2015 that the Hana Hotel, or Weird Hotel, in southwest Japan is run almost exclusively by robots to save labor costs. The English-speaking receptionist is actually a vicious-looking dinosaur.
Welcome to the Hana Hotel.
And the one speaking Japanese is a female humanoid with blinking lashes. The porter is an automated trolley that takes luggage to the room. Room service food, including full meals, comes from high-end vending machines. And a digital image of the guest's face is registered at check-in, and it's used instead of a standard electronic key to unlock the doors. Why? Because robots aren't good at finding your keys if you get locked out. The millionaire who runs the hotel insists that using robots is not a gimmick. It's a serious effort to use technology and achieve efficiency. However, many people who stayed there report that they have never felt more lonely during a hotel stay in their entire lives. And the Daily Mail Online reported in December 2017 that a supercomputer made by the company Google Brain has created its own artificial intelligence baby called NASNet, controlled by a neural network which teaches the child to do specific tasks. It can outperform any machine ever made by man. The child machine learns through reinforcement learning. It trains for a certain task, it reports back to its AI parent, and then it learns how it can do the job better. This kind of artificial intelligence has troubled Tesla founder Elon Musk, who in a recent talk claimed that efforts to make this type of artificial intelligence safe for people has only a 5 to 10% chance of success. And of course, who can forget Sophia, the near-human robot developed by Hong Kong-based Hanson Robotics. Using artificial intelligence, visual data processing, voice and facial recognition, Sophia can imitate human gestures and facial expressions, answer basic questions, and even make conversations on topics like the weather.
Sophia.
Hello, Jimmy.
My God. Do you know where you are?
Of course. I'm in New York City, and I'm on my favorite show, The Tonight Show.
Sophia, can you tell me a joke?
Sure. What cheese can never be yours?
What cheese can never be mine? I don't know.
Nacho cheese.
yeah, that's good, yeah. That's
She's even designed to get smarter over time. Many believe she's just a pre-programmed puppet that can imitate human interactions, but regardless, in October 2017, the robot became a Saudi Arabian citizen, the first to receive citizenship of any country. And in November of that same year, she was named the United Nations Development Programme's first ever Innovation Champion. She's the first non-human to be given any United Nations title. While the jury is still out on Sophia's authenticity, be assured, friend, the real deal is just around the corner. Quayside is a smart city concept project in Toronto, Canada, that plans to rebuild an urban neighborhood from the ground up using the latest digital technologies. Sidewalk Labs, another Google company, is collaborating with the Canadian government to build this community, including an extensive network of sensors throughout that gathers everything from air quality and noise level readings to people's activities to help make decisions better for the community. All the vehicles will drive themselves, and robots will even deliver the mail underground. Daniel may have prophesied that knowledge would increase at the end of time, but he could not possibly have imagined where we would eventually get to. In fact, if you're like me, you can't believe it all either. The increase of knowledge globally is now unstoppable, but we know for sure where it will lead mankind to. The last day is dawning.